understanding of its citizens.
The kingdom stretched for about 2,000 miles from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to modern-day Niger, taking in parts of what is now Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, and the Ivory Coast. With such a large landmass came great resources, such as gold and salt. During the reign of Mansa Musa, the Empire of Mali accounted for almost half of the old world's gold, and all of it belonged to the king.
While holding the title of the ruler of the wealthiest emperor in the western part of Africa, the main source of his kingdom's wealth was gold and salt. He had absolute power and control, as every piece of gold and salt produced in the kingdom automatically became his. In the words of Rudolph Butch Ware, an associate professor of history at the University of California, contemporary accounts of Musa's wealth are so breathtaking that it's almost impossible to get a sense of just how wealthy and powerful he truly was. According to calculations based on the value of the dollar, prominent financial analysts and historians have determined that Mansa Musa's net worth as of today would be upward of over $450 billion.
The emperor's wealth was virtually impossible to calculate. His wealth was so enormous that it is believed that he accounted for over 40% of the world's total gold reserves. Could you imagine that? He basically had almost half of the wealth of the entire world.
Mansa Musa's subjects even became rich, accompanied by thousands of richly dressed servants and supporters. Musa made generous donations to the poor and to charitable organizations, as well as the rulers of the land his entourage crossed. Mansa Musa was a devout Muslim, and not one to travel on a budget. He brought a caravan stretching as far as the eye could see.
He made a legendary pilgrimage from Mali to Mecca. On that journey, he traveled almost 3,000 miles.
On this caravan, he took over 70,000 subjects, consisting of his entire royal courts and officials, soldiers, griots, entertainers, merchants, camel drivers, and 12,000 slaves, as well as a long train of goats and sheep for food.
It was a city literally moving through the desert, a city whose inhabitants, all the way down to the slaves, were clad in elaborately stitched gold and the finest Persian silk. 100 camels were in tow, each camel carrying hundreds of pounds of pure gold.
It was a sight to behold, and the sight got even more opulent once the caravan reached Egypt, where they could really show off their wealth. He gave both gold and extravagant gifts lavishly. In fact, he flooded so much wealth into cities like Cairo, Egypt, metals like gold actually decreased in value. A full decade came and went in the wake of his visits, and many markets still had not properly recovered. In the end, Musa gained back at least some of the gold he had given away, picking it up at a high interest from Cairo lenders. He, by himself, actually caused global inflation.
The emperor also made generous donations to the poor and to charitable organizations, as well as the rulers of the lands his entourage crossed.
But don't be confused. He knew how to spend money. The ability to spend money is not a major accomplishment in of itself. However, when you consider that Mansa Musa frequently traveled with a caravan of 60,000 subjects, you have to understand that displaying and spending wealth like this can be seen as an accomplishment unto itself.
This map gives a depiction of the journey from Mali to Mecca. It was a journey, as stated, that traveled almost 3,000 miles. Imagine that, folks. 3,000 miles through all types of terrain, deserts, storms, mountains, seas, and these 70,000 plus people were able to do that. As a devoted Muslim, on each of his pilgrimages to Mecca, every Friday, whenever he and his men stopped to rest, Mansa Musa would build a mosque at that location.
Among his many other impressive exploits, he was a fierce warrior, with an army numbering around 100,000 men, including an armored cavalry corps of 10,000 horses, and with a talented general, he was able to extend and maintain Mali's vast empire, doubling its territory and making it second in size only to that of the Mongol Empire at the time. Just to reiterate, Mali controlled lands up to the Gambia and Lower Senegal in the west. In the north, tribes were subdued along the whole length of the Western Sahara border region. In the east, control spread up to the Gal and the Niger River, and to the south, the Bur region and the forests of what became known as the Gold Coast came under Mali oversight.
Under his rule, there is no question that the Mali Empire rose to dazzling heights. It grew to include a number of additional regions. In fact, one visitor noted that it took him a full 4 months to travel from one end of the empire to the other.
Mansa Musa was indeed a champion of Islamic religion and learning. He made Timbuktu a center for commerce and education. He also established the University of Sankore and Timbuktu University, among many others. Under his rulership, Timbuktu was indeed a world power and a leader in economic resources, education, and trade.
A number of famous structures went up during his lifetime, including the Dinjiga Mosque, which can be seen in this slide. Mansa Musa set up a number of educational centers and mosques, which cannot be emphasized enough. Architects came from both Spain and Cairo in order to build not only his staggering palace, but other buildings as well. Although the palaces does not exist in its present, it is worth noting that the university and mosque both continue to stand to this day.
Some 800 years later, and his 25-year reign left behind a lasting legacy of wealth, kindness, generosity, innovation, education, respect, authority, and responsible rulership. Thank you for watching, and until next time. Also, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Welcome back. This is H-Rap-B for Built for This Network. This is a podcast called Build and Destroy. I want to thank my special guest, Marco Polo, once again. It was a pleasure talking to a hip-hop head that's equal to yourself in regards to love for the culture. With that being said, this is the H-Rap segment of the show where I'm going to give you my opinion on what's going on in the world. That's why I call it Build and Destroy. We're going to build up our community and destroy all the lies and propaganda that's around. Anytime I publicly speak, I will do this, and I'm going to do it right now. I will send shouts out to my ancestors and my family, because it was taught to me when you speak publicly and you send up respect to your ancestors, they send down blessings and protections to you, and we all need a little protection today. So that goes to my family members and that are connected to the name Whitmore, Pollard, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Crisp, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, and me, my sisters, my brothers, my mother, my father. We are the Williams clan, nieces and nephews. We are the Williams clan. We are building it all time. As it was once said by one of the queens of hip hop, MC Light, well. We have new information that leads to we have a reprieve. We haven't had any victories today. Shout out to Biden and Harris for being president and vice president elect. But there are a lot of people who are patting each other on the back with glad handing and things of that nature. But I don't think this is the time to smile. We got caught up like that 12 years ago. 12 years ago today, we were doing the exact same thing. Glad that there was a brother in the office. We've won. We've made it. We didn't make it and we didn't win anything because we didn't have a game plan. The game plan was never set in place. Therefore, we instantly lost. So instead of considering this a victory, brothers and sisters, what I want us to do, and it's apropos that my main man RC from Minnesota, who's a gigantic boxing fan, we are in between rounds. This fight must never stop. This fight must never stop. This fight must never stop. Because if you believe that the ugly monster that rules the United States of America called white nationalism or white supremacy or bigotry or power-hungry people are going to gracefully bow out of this situation, you are outside your mind. I'm speaking frankly. I am going hard in the paint. I'm doing all that stuff that people say. But this is in between rounds. We're talking to Angelo Dundee. We talking to Mick. We talking to Emmanuel, Emmanuel, whatever. I can't think of his name. Well, whoever the hell he is, he used to be Riddick Bowe. Not Riddick Bowe, he got up in Detroit. Emmanuel Lewis. We talking to all those guys. We're in between rounds. Because while we assume that the Civil War was over, the Civil War, thank you, Emmanuel Stewart. Yeah, Emmanuel Lewis is the dude. It's Webster. What the hell is going on with me? H-Rap, in the middle of your speech, you sound stupid, so I'm going to need you to... Okay, back to business. Emmanuel Stewart, thank you to my main man, RC, one of my greatest supporters in the chat room. If you want to be a supporter in the chat room, you got a link. All you have to do is hit the link, connect yourself to using social media or your email, and you come in and have a conversation with me as well. Thank you, Big Chris, for being equally supportive. That's why you guys are my supporters, not my followers, not my subscribers. Y'all support the program, and I'm supporting the community. We must realize that this is in between rounds. First and foremost, while we thanking Harris and Biden for winning and all that, and we thanking the people in Philadelphia, understand a loss got us here. And I don't mean by Donald Trump. The bigger loss, and y'all heard me say last week, I spoke about Sankofa. Looking back, scanning things so you can move forward, right? Sankofa. I posted on all three means of social media today, my Instagram, my Facebook, and on Twitter, Sankofa. Shout out to the Queen. Shout out to the Queen, Stacey Abrams. The sister been busting her back every day for the last 2 years after she got hoodwinked out of the governor seat in Georgia, and she went to work. Her and the Queen ancestor, Fannie Lou Hamer, famous for having a sick and tired of being sick and tired speech. Salute to the ancestor. This is why I keep using the terminology Sankofa, which is, if you look at it as a bird looking back with the egg in its mouth, the future is the egg looking back to understand what we have gone through and looking forward to see where we need to go. If you look at Fannie Lou Hamer, she is exactly what the Queen Stacey Abrams is. So I was not going to start my day without saluting the sister Stacey Abrams. She galvanized the state of Georgia, which in turn galvanized the state of Mississippi, which in turn galvanized the United States of America. If you don't understand how important the South is, I am going to quote another ancestor, W.E.B. Du Bois, or however you want to pronounce it. It's been pronounced several different ways. I call them Du Bois. That's the way I'm going to say it. So if I say it wrong, hey, this ain't English class, right?